ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأن محمدا عبده ورسوله. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. Before we begin, I'd like to ask my brothers to please move up as much as you can to make room for people that are standing in the back. Please move up as much as you can. Jazakallahu khair. We begin with the praise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We praise Him, we seek His help. We ask Him to forgive us of our sins. And we ask Him to protect us of the evil of ourselves and the evil consequences of our actions. And whoever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guides, nobody can misguide. And whoever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala leads astray, nobody can guide him back to the straight path. And we begin with the verse reminding us to have consciousness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, O you who believe, have taqwa, or be conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And as a result, He will fix for you your actions. يُصْلَحْ لَكُمْ أَعْمَالَكُمْ, and He will forgive for you your sins. وَيَغْفِرْ لَكُمْ ذُنُوبَكُمْ, and whoever follows Allah and His Messenger has found true success. And we begin the first minute of this khutbah just to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Deep down inside yourself, everyone here should be thanking Allah that you are here on this day in Ramadan. Not outside barbecuing, buying 6 packs of beer like most other people are doing in this country. That you're here worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, answering His call to come and worship Him on this Friday. And alhamdulillah that Allah has given us the opportunity to worship Him another year, another Ramadan. Because wallahi, many of us, we hear this over and over. And alhamdulillah for giving us the opportunity to worship Him another Ramadan, and we take it for granted. Well, like it's 95 degrees outside, I'm fasting, I'm sweating, I'm dying for a bottle of water, everybody around me is having the time of their life. You feel like somebody might think, what's there to be thankful for? Well, listen to this beautiful story that happened. 2 companions came before they came to Islam. They went to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and they both joined Islam at the same time. They were good friends. One of them, he became a little bit more committed to the deen than the other. Brothers, I ask you again to please move up a little bit as much as you can. Make room for the people in the back. So these 2 friends came to Islam. One of them was more committed than the other. He was fasting more, he was doing jihad more, he was doing everything more than his other companion. And within a short amount of time, that companion died as a shaheed. He died as a martyr in the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. His other friend was not doing as much good actions as the first friend. You know, he was doing the very basics, praying 5 times a day, fasting Ramadan, paying the zakat, nothing more than his friend was doing. And he didn't die as a shaheed. He died 1 year after his friend. It was a regular death. Maybe he died in his bed, maybe he died as a result of an accident, we don't know. But he died a regular death and not the death of a shaheed like his first companion did. So, this companion named Talha ibn Ubaydullah was a very good companion. One of the 10 who were promised Jannah by the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He had a dream one night that he was standing by the gates of paradise, and he saw those 2 companions in the dream. And he saw an angel come out of the gate, and he called to enter Jannah. Who did he call? He called the second companion, the one who did not die as a shaheed, and the one who didn't put in as much effort as the first friend. So he called him to enter into Jannah. And then the angel came out, and he called the first one to die to enter into Jannah, the one that died as a martyr, the one who put in more effort. And then the angel came back out, and he called Talha, and he said, Talha, go back, it's not your turn yet, because he was still alive and it was only a dream. So after he woke up, he was very shocked. You know, how could the guy who died a regular death, who didn't put in as much effort, get into the gates of Jannah before the one who died as a shaheed, as a martyr, and he put in so much more effort? So he started talking to people about this dream, and then he spoke to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself. And the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam answered that. He said, "Are you shocked by this?" And Allah said, "Yes." He said, "Did that second friend not live 1 year more than the first one that died as a martyr? So he responded, Talha said, yes. So the Prophet ﷺ said, doesn't that mean he lived through one more Ramadan than his friends because they became Muslim at the same time? So Talha said, yes. So he said, just because he lived through one more Ramadan and he prayed more than his friends, the difference between him and his friends who died as a martyr is like the difference between the earth and the rest of the heavens. SubhanAllah. And this is the beautiful blessing of being able to live through just one Ramadan. And this is why we should have this feeling of gratitude that Allah has given us the opportunity to worship Him this month. Brothers, I ask you again if we can make a little bit more room into the office, just so the brothers can move in. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, make room for others, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make room for you, inshallah, in Jannah. Ameen. So, that's something for you to consider. To think about how grateful we should be to be here in Ramadan. This is like if you have a business. Ramadan is like somebody who owns a business, and for 1 month, he has absolutely no expenses, and every dollar he sells, the profit is multiplied by 10. Because we know our rewards are multiplied in Jannah, and we know by the end of the month, if we fast and we pray the way we're supposed to, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will forgive us of all of our sins. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us of those who are forgiven by the end of this month. Ameen. But the topic of today is more related to something that's very, very important in the month of Ramadan, not the month of Ramadan itself. You know, the only verse in the Quran where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions Ramadan, the first part of that verse, He doesn't even talk about fasting. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, شَهْرُ رَمَضَانَ الَّذِي أُنزِلَ فِيهِ الْقُرْآنِ. The month of Ramadan is the month in which the Quran was revealed. هُدًى لِلنَّاسِ. It's a guidance for the people. وَبَيِّنَاتٍ مِنَ الْهُدَى وَالْفُرْقَانِ. And it's clear proof and evidence from the guidance and from the Furqan. The Furqan meaning the clear distinguisher between what's right and wrong. So the Quran is here meant to serve us as a guidance, and Allah, the first thing He mentions about Ramadan is that the Quran was revealed in it. So there's a very strong link between Ramadan and the Quran. And you know, we know Ramadan is a month of Quran. We know our early scholars used to push away all of their books, stop all of their classes, and do nothing but focus on the Quran in this month. And subhanAllah, what's the importance of Ramadan, and what's the importance of Quran when it comes to the month of Ramadan? SubhanAllah. First of all, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that the Quran is a guidance. It's a source of guidance for us on how to live our life. Now you might be asking yourself, what's this guidance and why do I need guidance? I know what I'm doing. I have a job, I have a family, I'm making ends meet. I don't need any additional guidance. But I want to give you a small example to think about. If somebody invents a very complicated machine, let's say a space shuttle, for example, for NASA, he knows that when he invents this machine, it's going to be very difficult for people to use. You can't just walk up and use a space shuttle if you don't know anything about it. So the person who invents this space shuttle will most likely create a book with it called an instruction manual. And in it, he will talk about the purpose of this invention, what purpose is it meant to serve, and what is the best way to use it, and what to do when things go wrong, like a troubleshooting section. And then he teaches certain people how to use this machine and how to teach others how to use this machine as well. So let's say you have 3 people that come to work for NASA, and they're both of them, all 3 of them, their job is to work with this machine, to work with this space shuttle. One of them, he's given this instructor's manual, and he takes it, he throws it out, and he says, I don't need it. I can figure this out on my own. I'm smarter than that. The second guy, he takes the instructor's manual, he says, I'm going to keep the manual, maybe one day I'll need it. He puts it aside just to say that he has it, but he never looks at it. Maybe he looks at it once in a while when things go wrong, but that's about it. The third guy, he takes the instructor's manual, he starts to study it, and he goes to other people that know how to use this machine very well, and he begins to study this instructor's manual with them. And he tries to even memorize this manual, and learn how to use it, and learn why it was made. Who do you think is going to be the best employee? Who do you think is going to be using that machine to its fullest extent and getting the most possible benefit out of it? Obviously the one that took that book seriously. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us, He created this life that we live in, and He gave us a user's manual as well, and that is the Quran. And you have 3 types of people. The type of people who take the Quran and put it aside and say, I don't need it. I can figure this out on my own. The type of people who take the Quran, they hold on to it, they put it on their bookshelf, And they use it once in a while when they want to make an oath, when they want to swear by the Quran and put their hands over it, which is a habit I think we took from the Christians. And that's about it. Maybe once in a while when somebody dies, they open it, you look at it, but that's about it. The third person, he takes this book, he says, I know this book was written by my Creator, so I have to learn how to use it if I want to live a good life, if I want to be successful, to figure out what's my purpose, because he wouldn't have wrote this book for no reason, or he wouldn't have revealed this book for no reason, rather. So he begins to study it, and he goes to people who study it, and he begins to learn it, and he memorizes it. And who do you think is going to be the most successful in this life? The one who's using that user's manual that was created for him by his Creator, or the one who pushes it aside? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala answers that question for us in the Quran when He says, فَمَنِ اتَّبَعَ هُدَايَ فَلَا خَوْفٌ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا هُمْ يَحْزَنُونَ. The ones who follow my guidance, there is no fear over them. You don't have to worry about them. They're good to go. وَلَا هُمْ يَحْزَنُونَ. And they will fear no grief. They will feel no sorrow. And another part of the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَلَا يَضِلُّ وَلَا يَشْقَى. The one who follows my guidance will never be lost. He'll never need directions from anyone else because he has my guidance. And وَلَا يَشْقَى means he will never be miserable. And the one who pushes that Quran aside and says, I don't need this instructions manual, I'll figure this out on my own, Allah has an answer for him too. وَمَنْ أَعْرَضَ عَنْ ذِكْرِي فَإِنَّ لَهُ مَعِيشَةً ضَنْكًا. Whoever turns away from my remembrance, whoever wants to figure it out on his own and not use my book that I revealed for him as a blessing, he's going to have a miserable, constrained life. Banka means constricted, tight. You feel like everything's going, your bills are coming up next month, you got to pay for your kids' tuition, this person's sick, all these worries going through your head. These are the people who live life according to their desires and push away the instructions given to us by our Creator. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us of those that follow the instructions given to us in the Quran. Ameen. And He even tells us the purpose of our life, which is to worship Allah. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. We were only created to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And only when you're living out your purpose can you really feel true satisfaction in life. That's the purpose you were created. A cow was created for a certain purpose, to live in the farm and to serve the farmers. If you take the cow and you put it in the desert, it's not going to get the satisfaction that it deserves. And if you take a camel and you put him on the farm, he's not going to get the satisfaction either because he was created to serve a certain purpose. We as human beings were created with the purpose of serving Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and worshiping Him. And this Quran is instructions on how to worship Him. So whoever follows those instructions will live a happy life. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, whoever believes and does good, from male or female, we will give him a good life to live in this world and in the next world as well. And this is what we hope for when we read the Quran. Brothers, I ask you one more time, we're going to finish early today. Please move up and make some room for the people in the back. So now, the guidance in the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says this Quran is a guidance, but can anybody open the Quran and just take the guidance right out of it? Yes and no. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made this Quran as a guidance for all of the world. Anyone who opens it and reads it can get guidance, but there is a prerequisite. There's always prerequisites in life. For example, if you want to take a certain course in school, there's a prerequisite that you need to have before you can take that course. You want to work in a certain company, you need to have prerequisites, certain skills and education before you can work for that company. The Quran's guidance has a prerequisite as well, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us that at the beginning of the Quran when He says that it's guidance. Yes, there is huda. Huda lil-muttaqin. The huda, the guidance in this book, is for those that have taqwa. Those that are conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that are always doing their best to avoid doing things that might anger Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the beautiful thing about the month of Ramadan, it's here to teach us taqwa. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الصِّيَامُ, that fasting has been prescribed upon you, كَمَا كُتِبَ عَلَى الَّذِينَ مِن قَبْلِكُم, just like it was written on people that came before you. Meaning when you're going through a hot summer and you're fasting and you're tired, you're not the only one who went through this. People went through this for thousands and thousands of years because Allah has prescribed this on people for thousands and thousands of years. So it makes it a little easier to go through it knowing that other people went through it before and they made it through it. لَعَلَّكُمْ, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us a reason why fasting was prescribed upon us. لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, so that you can achieve this taqwa, so you can achieve this God consciousness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because you look at somebody he's an average Muslim, he commits a lot of sins, maybe he skips a lot of the things that he's supposed to do, but even in Ramadan, when he's brushing his teeth or he's making wudu, he's very careful not to swallow water out of fear of breaking his fast. And if this is the fear he has of doing something which is halal, normally halal, drinking water of course is halal, then he can train himself to have that same consciousness outside of Ramadan towards things that are haram. Because if you can be that careful to avoid things that you're normally allowed to do in Ramadan, then you can train yourself to be even more careful on things that you're not allowed to do outside the month of Ramadan. And if you can do that, you'll achieve that sincerity, you'll become closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you will gain that consciousness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, always trying to do things that please Him, always trying to avoid things that might anger me. And Uthman ibn Affan, the cousin of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, said, if the hearts become pure, they can never satisfy their thirst from the Quran. Meaning no matter how much they read the Quran, as long as the hearts become pure, they can never satisfy that thirst for the Quran. You'll always want to read more and more and more. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us of those people, to allow us to benefit from reading the Quran.
Ameen.
Now, I want to end this khutbah a little early before we make a few announcements. But I'd like to just share one beautiful hadith. Because yes, the month of Ramadan is the month of Quran. But our whole life should be a life of Quran. We should live our lives according to the Quran. And an example of that is the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Aisha, his wife, said he was a Quran walking on the face of the earth. He was a living, breathing, talking Quran. But there's a beautiful hadith that Ibn Kathir mentions in his tafsir of Surah Al-Baqarah. And he talks about the Day of Judgment, where the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is telling us about a scene that takes place on the Day of Judgment. And you know, on the Day of Judgment, it's every man, woman, and child for himself. People will be running away from their brothers, their sisters, their mothers, their kids. They don't want to see anybody that they knew out of fear that they might ask them for some of their good deeds, or might try to give them some of their sins. Or maybe they owe them something from this life, and they're going to try to take it back from them in the form of good deeds on the Day of Judgment. People will be running away from one another. Everyone will be fearful, naked, nothing to wear. They come out of their graves, seeing the sun right over their heads, seeing trillions of creation around them, running around, scared, not knowing what to do. Imagine that fear that people will feel on that day. But the Prophet ﷺ gives us a beautiful hadith, and he says, Inna al-Quran, the Quran, إن القرآن يلقى صاحبه يوم القيامة حين ينشق عنه قبره كالرجل الشاك. That the Quran will meet his companion on the Day of Judgment. The one who took him as a close friend, the one who was always with the Quran, whether in his heart, he's always reading his Quran, always trying to learn it, always trying to apply it in his life. This is the true companion of the Quran. So he will meet his companion. The Quran will come and meet his companion on the Day of Judgment. Right when the grave opens up and the human being is coming out of the grave, the Quran will come and meet him in the form of a pale man. And he will say to him, do you know who I am? And he'll respond back, I don't know him. You'll be looking at this man coming out of your grave. Everyone's worried about themselves, but here's somebody who cares about you, speaking to you on that day. He'll ask you, do you know who I am? And you'll say, I don't know who you are. And he'll say, أنا صاحبك القرآن. I am your companion, the Quran. الذي أضمأتك في الهواجر. I used to keep you thirsty on hot days like today. When it's hot outside and you're reciting Quran during the day and your throat is getting dry, the Quran remembers that. He tells you, I'm the one that used to keep you thirsty on those hot days. وأسهرت ليلا. I used to keep you up at night because sometimes you didn't go to sleep until you read a certain portion of the Quran. You wanted to review Quran and get up and recite Quran during the hours of the night. وَأَسْهَرْتُ لَيْلًا وَإِنَّ كُلَّ تَاجِرٍ مِنْ وَرَاءِ تِجَارَتِهِ. And every merchant has a specific trade or something that he specializes in. But he says, وَإِنَّكَ الْيَوْمِ مِنْ وَرَاءِ كُلِّ تِجَارَةٍ. And today you are behind every trade. You're successful in everything because of the fact that you made that trade with Allah to become a companion of the Quran. You will see profit coming to you, or profits and benefits and rewards coming to you from all directions. وَإِنَّكَ الْيَوْمِ مِنْ وَرَاءِ كُلِّ تِجَارَةٍ. You are behind every trade. And then the Prophet ﷺ says, فَيُعْطَى الْمُلْكَ بِيَمِينِهِ. And he will be given his kingdom in Jannah in his right hand, meaning possession of his kingdom in his right hand. وَالْخُلْدَ بِشِمَالٍ, and eternal life will be given to him in his left hand. وَيُوضَعُ عَلَى رَأْسِهِ تَاجُ الْوَقَارِ, and on his head there will be